Do faceless figures haunt your dreams? Do you ever feel like you see these figures in the corner of your eye, even when you're awake? Do you feel like there is something missing in your life? Well, if you're a Petrel user, I may have the answers you seek, because lurking in the top right corner of your screen is a little guy that is about to make life just a bit shinier. This is Mike Gidding from Third Eye Geoscience. In this video, I want to talk about user interface profiles. If you don't know what they are, you're not alone. I'd say 70% of the people that I teach my interpretation course to haven't been using them, even if they are experienced Petrel users. So let's dive in. Up in the top right corner, there is the little blue icon for user interface profiles, and under there we can choose from any existing profiles that we've got or create new ones. But before we go there, let's right click on the seismic line and bring up the normal seismic interpretation tool palette. What you see here are a lot of commands, many of which I tend not to use on a regular basis. So for me, what I'd like is a smaller tool palette that has just the commands I need, and maybe some that aren't on here that I do use a little bit more accessible than by right mouse button clicking and going into context toolbars. So to get a user interface profile, what we do is we turn on one of our existing ones or we create a new one. So let's say we've made one. This one is the seismic interpretation one that I use. Then we go up into the top left corner here and we click on this tiny button and we get a bunch of different options in here. And what we're looking for is the one that is consistent with the name that we had up in the top right corner. And here it's called Mike 3D SI. So now that that's there, we can turn that off and we can even collapse our seismic interpretation toolbar. And now we've got a smaller tool palette which takes up less screen real estate, plus it's only got the commands that I need to get on with my interpretation tasks. You might even decide to close this altogether. If you're having trouble closing it, you can always turn things on and off by clicking on the tiny button up in the top corner. So what have I got in my tool palette? Well, I've got my 2D and 3D auto tracking, I've got fault interpretation, I've got the bounding box, I've got the interactive eraser, undo and redo, and I've got a few other commands. I've got base map select, I've got the clipping plane for both directions. Now to access those normally I would have to go right click, clipping plane, and if I wanted to clip behind I would have to do that. If it wasn't the direction I wanted, and that's often the case because you can't really tell which is which, and I wanted to clip in front instead, I'd have to go like that. Now I can do it with the tool palette very quickly, just back forth, back forth. Right, so much easier to use and easy to turn on and off, and actually easier to see whether it's turned on or off, because you will always have one of these displayed if you have this tool palette up. So for clipping planes, that's great. So what else have I got? I've got opacity to toggle that on and off as opposed to right clicking and doing it from the context menu. I've also got my great new tool that came in a couple of years ago for aligning the camera. So if I click on that, I can align that to wherever I click, and even better, if I hold shift down, I can spin that around the other way very quickly. And then I've got the blue button, the visualization on intersection that most of you are familiar with. Having this tool palette here with just the commands I need just speeds my work up. So how do we make one? We go over here and we click on Profile Editor. And here we can either use one of our existing tool palettes or we can create a new one from scratch. Let's create a new one. And let's say we wanted to put in a tool palette for editing polygons, for example. First of all, we need to decide whether to put those tools into the ribbon or into the palette tools. I'm not a big fan of the ribbon tools because I just find that I get quicker access via the palette tools. So if I click on the palette tools, then I can send anything that I want over there. So if I type in polygon up here, I could put add points, I could put append polygons, and so on. I could even go in here and I could rename it, and we could call it Mike Polygons. Okay, and we can hit OK, and now we'll see that from our list up here we've also got Mike Polygons, and if we do that then it will change to that one straight away. Let's change back to Mike 3D SI, and in fact let's go back in and edit that one. So back to the profile editor, we maybe decide we want to delete the polygons one, and then we go into 3D SI again, and I just wanted to make a couple of points here. If you are not sure what it is that you want, then the best thing to do is to find it in another tool palette. So for example, say I wanted to turn on the seismic interpretation tool palette, and I wanted something from there. Say I wanted to cut segments. Okay, so cut segments in here. The name for that is cut segments. So we're going to type in here cut segments, and we will then choose cut segments in there, and we might decide to add that, and you'll see that everything's grayed out here. The reason for that is Palette Tools is not turned on. So if we go over here and we click on Palette Tools, and then we can click on the little blue arrow, and we've now added cut segments to that palette. Okay, if we hit apply, okay, then we'll see that that new tool is in our tool palette. Okay, the other thing I want to talk about here is under the profile editor, is that you've also got the option for any one of these things to save. And when I press save, it brings up my normal Windows Explorer, and I can save that anywhere I want within my file system. Now there's a couple of reasons to do that. The first one is that you can share these tool palettes with other people. And the second one is that you want to be able to save that palette before you upgrade Petrel from 1 year to the next. So a 2022.1 to a 2022.2 release is going to preserve your palettes, but a 2021 to a 2022 won't preserve your palettes. So you need to be able to export them before you upgrade your project and then re-import them afterwards. That is pretty much it for today, and so hopefully you will get into the tool palettes that are user created and find good imaginative ways to make your workflow just that little bit more efficient. Thanks very much.